Everyone, hello everyone. Welcome to the Gujarati Convention webinar series about estate and tax for physicians. Gujarati Convention's goal is to educate our members about the importance of financial planning and becoming financially independent. Attendees should consult also their own advisors and attorney. This educational event is hosted by Gujarati Convention, Ajeet Kothari, Sumul Raval, Gunjan Shukla, and Shirish Patel. They are also panelists. Let me introduce you them so you get some comfort feeling. Sumul Raval is the first Gujarati neuro-oncologist in the world, and his authority in brain tumor. He is founder of Neurosurgery Comprehensive Brain Tumor Center. He has served as a treasurer and secretary of API. He is also currently a Gujarati Convention co-chair. The next person is Gunjan Shukla. He is the backbone of Gujarati Conventions. He is a director of electrophysiology at WMC Health Associate. He's a he's a health associate professor and Hackensack Meridian School of Medicine, assistant professor, New York Medical College. He is currently a candidate for board of trustee. Please support him. He is also a co-chair of Gujarati Physicians Convention. Last person on our panelist is Shirish Patel. He is currently a president of Baroda Medical College Alumni Association. He is also currently treasurer of API. He is also a candidate of for the API secretary. Please support him. He needs your support. He is also a businessman, so he is bringing his valuable energy to Gujarati Convention as a Gujarati Convention co-chair. Let's start today's most important event for what we are here together. And so we have invited our guest speaker, Syed Nishat, who will address today mainly about importance of estate and tax planning. Nishat is certified financial planner and a certified plan fiduciary advisor. His articles and interviews about asset protection and common financial mistakes we, the physicians, especially today's members, those who are attending are Gujarati physicians, so we make a mistake. Though we are Gujaratis, we should be very careful and we should know all these things. And so he's also a publisher in MadPage Today and Medscape. He's regularly quoted and interviewed in media outlets like Forbes, Kevin MD, US News, Investment News, and Yahoo Finances. You can see all this, his credentials and important presentation of his articles are his showing us how career oriented Syed is, and we are so thankful for his taking time out today and giving us to this audience interactive a seminar, a webinar. And This is not going to be a long, boring presentation. We don't want to make it a boring to you. So we are going to make it as a ask questions. Nishat will answer, make you satisfied. And I have seen his talent and his way of making information available to us and continued follow up to the information and to his client makes it very attractive to me and to others. So you can ask the question as well as if you think it is that what you want to ask, then go into the chat box, ask the question in a chat box, and he will try to answer that question. So before I hand over to Nishat, let me thank Nishat for coming today and giving us this informative session. But before I give it to him, I would like to start asking one question to him, which is kind of very interesting to me. So before you start speaking, Nishat, about estate planning, some lighter topics. Do you still believe that investors should do passive investment like index fund? They don't need financial advisors for investment only. Why pay your fees and financial advisors' fees like you when you cannot beat the market suggesting buying index funds? Just I'm just going from nowhere and just breaking the this webinar's whole core reason that why you are giving us the lecture. Thank you, Nisat.
Thank you, Ajit
Let's
Bhai. Thank you, Ajit Bhai, for the kind introduction. And thank you for the very tough question you asked the very beginning. And thank you, everyone, for taking that time. Sumul ji, Shirish ji, Gunjan ji, and obviously Ajit Bhai to work tirelessly. And Wednesday night, you are working and what you do for the Gujarati community. And we're looking forward to a successful event in July. Now, the first question you ask, I still believe I have been presenting into different articles. You can see our interviews in CNBC, also in a Medical Economist, MedPage. My message is very consistent in all the webinar that as a financial advisor or any hedge fund manager, no one can beat the market. It's very hard to beat the market in the long run. In the long run, the best person who can beat the market is index fund. The index fund symbol is SPY. Very simple. If you just buy SPY, leave it there for long run, it will outperform any other benchmark out there. We hear time to time people beat the market, like Kathy Wood. You must have heard about Kathy Wood. Like, you know what? He made a lot of money for the client, but then next year, again, it's a downfall happens. So no one can consistently beat the market. So the second question you ask, okay, if you believe in buying index funds only, why should you pay the fee? You don't have to. That's what we're here for. You don't have to pay us any fee. You can do it yourself. And that's why Ajit Bhai, Sumul ji, Shirish Bhai, and Gunjan ji, you ask us to come as a board, as a certified financial planner to explain how investors should invest. If you're looking for just an investment management, you're making a mistake. No one can beat the market. Buy SPY, buy QQQ, buy IXUX, buy VGK. These are index funds, ETFs. You can buy it, hold it for 20 years. You will make money most of the time. Now, a lot of people say, Nishad, you telling me to put everything into SPY. What if SPY becomes zero? I will lose everything. Well, Ajit bhai, I have a news for you. If SPY becomes zero, your house price will become zero. Your car price will become zero. We all have to sell everything and go back to India and sell pan there. So it is not going to happen. SPY cannot become zero. The whole US will become zero. So an SPY is already diversified for you. But people buy stocks, individual stocks, because it is boring to buy index funds. What I'm saying is boring, but it is truth. Now, second question you ask, why should we use financial advisor? You should use us for reason more than just buying investment. Like our clients are looking for estate planning, will, trust, tax planning, help you lower your taxes, asset protection. If you need those advices, on top of investment management, only then is making sense to pay some fee to the financial advisor because it's justified. If you're just looking for investment management, again, all Gujarati community listening to this, buy SPY, do something called dollar cost average. Buy it, market goes down, slowly buy more. In the long run, you'll be ahead of the game. Hopefully, it answered your question.
Thank you.
That's very basic understanding, Nishat. So many of us did not even have that as a physician. So thank you for that understanding. Now, let me ask you this question. Tell me about your market outlook and which sector investors should focus on.
Yeah, if you are actively investors, so one, this because of this new administration, the sector will go higher, we believe. Because what happened, Sumalji, a lot of physician we saw it from last Gujarati Medical Association event. We got clients, they put everything into one stock, like Nvidia, Tesla, everything into one stock. That's very dangerous. So try to avoid it if you can. Try to diversify it. Which sector will go up? You should buy SPY, you should buy QQQ. But if you are active investor, try to buy some financial index funds or ETF like XLF. We believe because of the Trump administration, financial sector will go up. You should buy some oil because this new admission talk about drill baby drill. So I think the oil sector will go up. Try to buy some utility if you can. Because of the AI, I think data storage is big. Like India, they're doing the huge data storage. So I think the utility sector will go up because power needed. So buy XLU. And lastly, construction sector. Because the new administration believe in construction. So those sector try to buy it, try to avoid international. So if you diversify into these sectors more a little bit, less in tech, because tech went up crazy. Sumalji, last 2 years, tech is up 60%. It's crazy. So I believe lower the tech a little bit, buy these sectors. In the long run, you'll be ahead of the game.
Thank you. Gunjan, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. So thanks. That's a great answer. We also want to put a little disclaimer that Gujarati Physician Convention wants to bring these financial people to enhance our understanding of finance, but we don't really have a direct dealing with this. And everybody should do their own homework before investing. Another thing that I want to tell our people who joined the webinar, thank you. And this is recorded event and it'll be available later on to view if somebody wants to view it. So by saying that, Syed, I wanted to ask you one question that, going back to the estate planning, you said that, anybody can invest with the SPY, QQQ, some symbols and leave it for 20 years and they'll be great and you will make money. How about you also say that why we should pay you for some estate planning and as a certified financial planner, can you explain what is estate planning and why do we need a will?
Yeah, I think one thing I noticed that in our community, a lot of people are lacking state planning because they believe, we came from nothing in this country. We are living so much. Who cares? But I recommend that everyone should at least have a basic will or an updated. A lot of will are like 20 years old. At least update the will. Because if you don't have a simple will, something as simple as the custody of the children, grandchildren will be decided by the US government. So at least have a basic will. So the will pretty much carries out your wishes. Anything happens to you, who will get what? So that's the foundation. Have a basic will that includes health proxy, power of attorney. These are the basic things you needed, regardless of your assets. If you don't have a will, the government decide who gets what. So that's the basic necessity. You must have it.
I see. Thank you.
Thanks, Nishat. So far, very informative session. I have a curiosity that my brother-in-law passed away accidentally almost 13 years ago, and we did not know even what to do. That time, I came to a term, probate. So I wanted to have a little bit explanation that what is probate, and if somebody has a will, can we avoid the probate, because we had to go through a lot of hassle to have probate and those things.
Yeah, it's a very good question. So unfortunately, even if you have a will, it doesn't avoid probate. Probate basically means that the judge, like for example, one of my best client, you in Kentucky, one of my best client passed away, and you know, there's no way, we can bring the client back, but I cannot believe the client not having a proper will and trust. Just to give an example, if this client didn't have a will, or didn't have a trust, or let's say just have a will, what would happen? That person's family have to take the copy of the will, send it to the court. Court need to authenticate it. That authentication takes about 3 months. It's called probate. It's not like you have a will, the government comes to you and says, sorry, here's your property. They have to authenticate everything. And this whole process called probate. In New York, it's about 3 months. Kentucky, where you live, is about 6 months, depending on the county you live in. So probate is very tough, is very lengthy. Will doesn't avoid it. That's why we also recommend for physician community, because they have decent net worth most of the time. They have multiple real estate, they have retirement account. Our recommendation to have a revocable trust as well. That's our suggestion.
Thanks, Nishat. That was very helpful.
So thus coming to that point, as you said, Nisat, revocable trust. Tell me, what are the benefits of revocable trust?
Yeah, so that's a good segue to show my screen if you can see it. These are the three main benefits of a revocable trust. Number one benefit of a revocable trust is avoid probate, like Shirish ji mentioned. Number two, it have divorce protection, credit protection, bankruptcy protection for the beneficiary. What I mean that if anything happens to you, your revocable trust becomes irrevocable for the children. No one can touch it. So just in case if the children get married, become older, get into a divorce, everything is protected, nothing to worry about. So number one, avoid probate. Number two, divorce credit protection for the children. And number three is a math, it's called step up and cost basis. So for example, Sumalji, I'm giving example, you bought your house for $1 million, the value is $2 million. If that house, $2 million into a revocable trust, if you pass away, your children inherit the house under a revocable trust, their inheritance cost will be 2 million, not 1 million. So the 1 million is tax free. It's called step up in cost basis. So these are very powerful. So three main reason: revocable trust is a private document, avoid probate, divorce credited protection for the children, and your children get a step up in cost basis after you pass away. That's why we highly recommend to have a revocable trust. I think Gunjanji, you can ask the other question, I think. You are muted, sorry.
I'm sorry, I just didn't want interference, but sorry about that. Okay, so did we do the revocable trust?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so what is the difference between testamentary trust and revocable trust?
Yeah. So we have so a lot of time, Gunjanji, people don't create revocable trust. They create a will, and inside a will there is a trust. Documents are written. It's called testamentary trust. So it is not alive. It will be alive after you pass away. Then you create that revocable trust. It will be open after you die. So it doesn't avoid probate. So that's why we highly recommend have a revocable trust right now, create it, not a testamentary, and move everything under the name of the trust, like the house, the brokerage account, the retirement account. So in this way, if anything happens to you, all the probate, nothing to worry about compared to a testamentary trust.
I see.
So thanks for that was a good explanation about revocable trust and testamentary trust. But I have a question that then what is the difference between the revocable trust and irrevocable trust?
Yeah, revocable trust, Shirish bhai, you open to avoid probate. Now, what if you want to give gift to your children now? And you want to make sure if a divorce happened to them or lawsuit happened to the children, that's protected also. How do you do that? And you want to control it. That you do it irrevocable trust and you gift it. Okay, how does it work? Let's say, Shirish bhai, you have 3 children, you're very happy, you mentioned, And what if children become older, divorce happen? So what would do? You three children, you want to give less. I'm giving example, $1 million each, but you create an irrevocable trust, put $1 million each. Divorce happen, lawsuit happen, nothing to worry about, and the money is out of your estate. It avoids probate as well. But again, to repeat, revocable trust is to avoid probate. This is they get it after you pass away, the children. Irrevocable trust, they get it right away, but you can control it what age they will get it, they have access to it, but that's mainly for gifting purpose. That's to avoid estate tax purpose. These are the two difference.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you for explanation.
So continue in the same topic, Syed, what are the major mistake we make in estate planning?
Yeah, there are three mistakes. Number one, in a revocable trust, Sumalji, I see people write in the document revocable trust. If anything happens to me, the children get their individual name. All right, I think it's a mistake because the children gets in their individual name, they get married, commingle with their spouse, divorce happen, asset becomes half. So we recommend don't give it to the children individual name. Our recommendation, make a provision in the revocable trust. Each children will open their own trust after you pass away and transfer money. In this way, divorce happen, lawsuit happen, everything protected. That's number one. Number two, we see Sumalji people create revocable trust, but they do not move things under the name of a revocable trust. Like the house, you have to move it though. Brokerage, if you don't move it, it's a fancy document collecting dust. So make sure you move it under the name of the trust as well. And number three, Sumalji, we see major mistake. The trusts are like 20 years old. You created like way back when you came, but come on, now you have grandchildren, your assets is different. You move to a different state. Like, we have clients who move from New Jersey to Florida, but you created a trust in New Jersey. Now you're in Florida, you should update it. So make sure that that particular state provisions are updated as well. Every 6 years, trust must be updated, ideally. So these are the three major mistakes we see.
Thank you. Gunjan.
Okay, well, that is very, very good. Now, I know that everybody over here who are present knows that the government somehow gets you. And I do have one incident where we had quite a wealthy person and who passed away and divided his asset in the children, and children end up paying a lot of inheritance tax. So what is this? Can you explain a little bit more about what is this inheritance tax or a state estate tax then, and how to avoid it?
Yeah. So there's something called federal tax, but there's also something called estate. Like I'm sitting in New York, New Jersey, Sumulji, you're lucky. Yeah, you are my neighbor and you don't have anything. But New York, if your net worth is more than 7 million, it's a 15% progressive New York state charges as well, unfortunately. Pennsylvania, straight 4% inheritance tax. So that is there as well. How to avoid it? One option is in New York, you can create like a revocable trust, joint revocable trust. The benefit is that your portion after you pass away, your wife pass away, and nothing more than 15 million you have to worry about. So it doubles in a way. We can design in such a way. But unfortunately, state tax is very hard to avoid. One option could be, Shirish ji, you asked a question, irrevocable trust. You can gift it before the asset becomes more, so the asset doesn't grow, is out of your state. So in this way, you can avoid the estate tax, but the inheritance tax is there. A lot of physicians are not aware of it. They all focus on federal tax, but there's a state. So that's why, Ajeet bhai, you moved to Florida because Florida doesn't have this issue. A lot of retirees move to Florida. So, uh, so absolutely. One option could be move to Florida or Texas. Right. Yeah.
Okay, so thanks, Nishat. That was a good explanation about the inheritance tax and state estate. So I think we should move to Florida at least.
Join. Welcome.
What about the Tennessee? Do you know if they have a state tax?
Yeah, Tennessee, I don't, I have to double check, but I don't think so, but I have to double check. Yeah, I have to
Okay,
Google it,
okay.
right? Yeah.
So then also I have a question that what is the what is the estate tax, and when will the estate tax exemption be lowered?
Yeah. So far, remember, we talked about the particular state tax. Now
Right.
we're talking about federal tax. So that's net worth needs to be more than about close to 27 million. Anything more than 27 million, you have to worry about paying 40% state tax federally. Um, Now, one thing is that, like you mentioned, when it be lower, it is expiring at the end of the year. It's sunsetting. But as of right now, the new administration, people think they will extend it, most likely. So if your net worth is more than 20 million, 30 million, you may want to think about something before the law change. But most likely they will extend it though. So we should sit down and discuss with a financial advisor, because a lot of financial advisors are trying to scare people, do something, but most likely they will extend it.
Thank you. That was good explanation.
Yeah.
So next question is, what is spousal lifetime access trust?
Yeah.
SLAT.
Yeah, I will just talk one thing, like some question clients ask, hey, my net worth is a lot. I am worried that the government will lower the exemption from 27 million to 13 million. Can I do something? Okay, think about SLAT, Spousal Lifetime Access Trust. It is an irrevocable trust. Like Shirish bhai, you asked the question, revocable, irrevocable. This is irrevocable trust.
Okay.
So before the law change, you gift the money into this irrevocable trust. But what happened is a type of trust called spousal. So as long as you trust your wife, she's happy with you, you put the money into this SLAT. As long as the wife is good, she can take the money out and give it to you. So you have some control. Okay. So it is irrevocable trust. Once you gift it, the money is out of your state. But as long as your wife is good, she can take the money and give it to you. All right. So that's something to think about it if you want to gift the money before the law change.
Okay, so
sorry, just
go ahead.
gifting the
Sure.
money to the spouse or
No, gifting the money to this is irrevocable trust. Is called SLAT, SLAT.
okay. Okay.
But your wife or the husband, you can use either one's life.
Right.
You can use it and take the money and give it to you indirectly.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, Syed, you have given us such a important information, and it all makes sense. However, we are all Gujaratis, and the first question comes in a mind. I want to do estate planning. How much it cost?
Yeah, it's a good question. You don't have to use me for that or our company. Typically, the cost is every time I say the word trust, 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 the cost is 4,000, 4,000, 4,000. So revocable trust 4,000, irrevocable trust 4,000. Any trust you open $4,000. That includes the funding as well. That's typically the attorney charges. If you don't need a trust, will, power of attorney, health proxy only is about $800. That's what people use, typical attorneys.
I see. Thank you.
So, do we want to go to the audience questions we have, or I think some of them you have already answered. If one has revocable trust, is will needed?
Yeah, so will becomes
Yeah.
as at that time simple, obsolete kind of. But you know what happened in revocable trust, you cannot put jewelry, you cannot put car. So that goes in the will that if you to pass away, who get the jewelry, then what about cremation and everything? Those things goes to your will.
Okay.
So
So,
one question that we lot of people do as a Gujarati members are charity minded people. Can you explain charitable lead trust?
Yeah, so this is for tax planning. Now we're talking about tax planning. State planning is kind of gone. So a lot of Gujarati, clients have the charity minded, and it's maybe a good time that if you client wants to, donate into the Gujarati convention, they can do that. But they sometimes what they say, I don't want to give too much money to. Let's say I'm giving example, Sumulji, you to Gujarati community. See how you do it, and then I will give it to you. So one option could be if you're really charity minded, the person can create a charitable lead trust. It's like a family foundation. They can create it and they can put the money into the charitable lead trust. I'm showing my screen here. So the benefit of this, you put the money, let's say $1 million, but I don't have to give $1 million to the Gujarati convention right away. I can give it every year. What is the amount I must give? I have to give 5% every year. Nothing more than that. 5%, 5%, 5% ballpark every year in a charitable lead trust. The money belongs to a charity, but I don't have to give right away. But Sumalji, Shirish bhai, Gunjan ji, Ajeet bhai, you all know, you can buy SPY. You want to put the money into this charitable deed trust, you can buy SPY. SPY, the return in the long run, 8% per year to 10% per year. You give 5% to the Gujarati convention. Whatever is the delta, whatever money left over after 20 years, it all goes back to you tax free. Again, very powerful. If you're really charity minded, don't want to give in one go, you can open up a charitable deed trust. You get the deduction that you need, the maximum contribution about 30% of your adjusted gross income. Every year, about 5% must go to charity. You can invest the money. You will make for sure more than 5% as long as it's an index fund. The difference to your family to keep. Very powerful if you're charity minded.
Great. So there is one good question in the over here. Rajesh ji asked, how can a retirement account be in a revocable trust, or is it necessary?
It's not. So retirement account, the beneficiary, primary should be spouse, secondary should be the revocable trust. But the problem with retirement account, due to Secure Act 2.0, revocable trust become very, very complicated. But still, we recommend have a good attorney, have a revocable trust, and everything goes to the revocable trust to the children. But if it's too much, okay, the children individual name is fine. But remember, I spoke about if they commingle the money, take it out with the spouse, divorce happens. So that's why we recommend revocable trust if it's possible as a beneficiary, not owner.
Great.
Great. The next, I think the audience question is that revocable trust provides any liability protection against the lawsuits?
There's no liability protection. There's no asset protection in revocable trust. Remember, it just avoid probate. You need irrevocable trust to avoid probate because you don't own it. You need to have something else like a family limited partnership, other things you can do, LP, LLC to do asset protection. There's no asset protection in revocable trust.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So there is another question from the audience. It says, if you have named your beneficiaries on all of your assets, why do you need a trust?
You don't need to. So what I meant by that, if you have named beneficiary, you do avoid probate. But like I mentioned, you do it mainly a revocable trust to have better control. And then number two is they commingle their money with the spouse. You want to avoid it. Revocable trust is the best way to do it.
Great.
Sumul?
Yeah, there's the one more question in audience. If you gift to kids with irrevocable trust, that still counts for total with respect to estate tax. This is
Correct.
Dr. Chaitanya asked this question.
Correct. So it is used from your exemption, but the way to think about it that right now up to 27 million you can gift from there. But what I'm saying that the law expires, it comes down to 14 million, which is expiring. You can give from only 14 million. 27 is gone. So that's why it is important that if your net worth is very high, then do something if you really want to.
Next question from the audience is, how much spouse can give it back to other person without tax penalty?
Husband, wife can give unlimited, but each person, like I can give it to Sumulji, 18,000, you, everyone 18, 18, 18. My wife can give 18, 36,000 each. As many people I want.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Before I ask to another audience question, I always wanted to know this. So it is from our thing over here. It says, what is a backdoor Roth IRA?
Yeah. So let's go to some a good question people ask a lot of time. So backdoor Roth IRA, I think before April 16th deadline, a lot of physicians don't do that. I think is a mistake. People think that they don't qualify. Physicians think they don't qualify for Roth IRA due to high income. But if you don't have an IRA account open, you have to make sure no IRA account open though. That's the problem. If you have no other IRA account, if you have just a 401k defined benefit plan, we work for the hospital, you can consider doing a Roth IRA. It's called backdoor Roth IRA. How does it work? You open up a post-tax IRA account and contribute about $8,000 over the age of 50. And at the same time, you open up a Roth IRA. Roth IRA, open it and flip it. You just transfer the money. It's called back door, and there's no income restriction there. So as long as, remember, you don't have any IRA account open, you can open up a brand new IRA account, brand new Roth IRA, and just convert the money there. And if you can keep converting it every year, it's very powerful because Roth IRA go tax-free, withdraw is also tax-free. There's no RMD, extremely powerful. A lot of physicians miss it out. Make sure you do backdoor Roth IRA if you qualify for it.
Okay, Nishat, the same question in this one. Like when I was a medical student, I did open a Roth IRA.
Yes.
And I had accumulated some money, and after my income went up to a certain level, then I was not able to put it in the Roth IRA. I
Yes.
also opened a previously traditional IRA. So now you said that if you don't have it, you can do it, but if you have it, what would you do?
You can't. The pro rata rule apply. The solution is that you move this IRA account to a 401k.
I see.
Then it's gone. Then you're empty. Then it's good. Now you can open up a brand new IRA, put 8,000 again, and just move it to the same old Roth IRA you mentioned.
I see.
I think the next question is like very important. A lot of us has real estate. What is cost segregation and how does it works?
Yeah, Gujarati means must real estate. All my Gujarati clients have something. So real estate is very important, especially hotel business. And as a financial advisor, I'm a huge advocate of invest into real estate. It's not because to make money, is for depreciation. So if you invest $1 million into real estate, commercial real estate, the government give you depreciation every year, meaning the depreciation you can get to write off from the rental income. What is the percentage? It's 28 years, ballpark, to 38 years, depending on the type of property, and it's about 2% to 3% every year. It depreciate, you can get a rental income. But the depreciation schedule is up to you. If you want to bring it down from 28 years to 5 years, you can, no problem. So I had a client for $1 million, Texas. We bought a surgical center. We did a cost segregation, the whole idea called advanced depreciation. We got 300,000 negative K1 from the property. Any rental income comes in up to $300,000, we'll pay no taxes in it. But the problem with the cost segregation that you cannot sell the property right away. There's a depreciation restructure. As long as recapture, as long as you hold it for long term, and do a 1031 exchange later on is very powerful. But if you're into real estate, please speak to your financial advisor or CPA. If cost segregation makes sense for you, you can do it before the tax filing deadline, even for last year as well, if you have rental income. Very, very powerful.
So, Nisad, we talked many things about the estate planning, tax planning, and everything. So, what are some of the tax planning tips you advise not to miss before the deadline?
Yeah, I'll show you my screen. This is pretty much the most important slide. Everyone can hopefully take a screenshot, and the recording will be there too. But by the time the recording goes, the corporate tax filing deadline is March 15th, and the individual obviously is April. And with extension, obviously, you have more time. So, few things to do. Try to do when you go to a CPA. Most CPA, Shiriji, are lazy. They go for standard deduction. Standard deduction is 27,000. That's all they do. Hey, if you have done charity, if you have mortgage, push your CPA for itemized deduction. Tell them do itemize. Go over 27. So they're all lazy. Just go for 27 standard deduction. Try to tell them I have other expenses. Go for itemize.
Okay.
Number two, QBI. So a lot of physicians who are self-employed, I'm talking about, or rental income, if you have it, you all qualify for QBI. So if you're self-employment, as long as your total income is below $485,000, the government give you 20% of the self-employment income as a deduction. Again, the income limit is 485. If you're below that, you get QBI. So if you're self-employed, speak to your CPA. Do I qualify for QBI? A lot of people think that I don't. No, no, no. If your income is below 485, self-employed, that income you get QBI. If you have rental income, regardless of your income, 20% of the rental income after depreciation, you get QBI as well. Make sure don't miss QBI. Number three, IRA contribution. So everyone can contribute into a retirement account as long as you don't have 401k. $8,000 all pre-tax you can do. HSA contribution. Speak to your hospital if they allow HSA. HSA is decent, about close to $8,700 pre-tax. You can contribute into HSA after the age of close to 65. You can use the money for non-health reason as well, and it's rollover every year. Very powerful, like a retirement account. Backdoor Roth IRA, we just spoke about it. Shirish, by a lot of our dentist client, they do machine, improvement every year, buy new machinery. They can speak to their CPA about R&D tax credit called research and development. A lot of dentist clients qualify for it. A lot of physician nowadays working from home. So if you're working from home, telehealth, speak to your CPA if home office deduction makes sense. It's not a lot, but it's still decent amount. Home office deduction, if it makes sense. If you have bought a bigger car last year, more than 6,000 pound, if you have self-employment income, speak to your CPA if you can write this off. Last year, about close to 60% you can write this off from your self-employed income. But if you buy a sedan, the depreciation is 35,000. Speak to CPA if it makes sense or not. And then educational plan contribution. So educational plan contribution, like New York, I'm sitting in. If I contribute into an educational plan, I get state tax deduction. So if you have contributed for your children, speak to your CPA depending on the state you live in, if 529 tax deduction makes sense or not. So I know it's a long list. Take a picture and speak to your CPA if any of this deduction are you missing or not.
Yeah, thanks, Nishat. Yeah, so I didn't even know what this QBI deduction, even though I'm a self-employed. So
Yeah.
now I have to dig into it. We do have HSA, and I do use some home office. And then also last year, I learned about the 6,000 pounds. But just for the audience knowledge, the 6,000 pounds includes the full capacity. So we bought like a Honda van. So if you look at the weight is around 4,000, but it does qualify for 6,000 because they consider as a full capacity, which many accountant did not know. So our accountant did not know, but this was asked by our friend. So we were able to deduct that van as a 6,000 pounds because it considers all the passengers and fully loaded van. So thank you again for, I think this is very, very useful information.
Sure. And as
Okay,
I
so
mentioned to the audience, just remember, don't act on it. Speak to your financial advisor, though. Okay, we are just giving educational topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, Sayedji, there is a one question, a repeated question in the audience from the audience, which I don't know the right answer. It says, if somebody has a foreign investment house in India, can it be protected with a revocable trust?
No, it doesn't work. I hope it worked. It's only in US law applicable.
I see.
Yep. You have to have a will trust there. Will there in India.
I see. And another question is, I think it was very common, which I think you answered. It says that if somebody has done trust in a Kentucky, if they move to Florida, can be same trust would be valid in another state or not. I think
Yeah,
you
so
have to check.
yeah, you should update it. Last 2 page only. State statute. It's very simple. Update it. Yeah. Absolutely. And go to any attorney for $250 to $350. They can do it.
I see.
Yeah.
I can keep asking, but it says someone asked, can you make a last minute change by handwriting and signing to the existing trust?
Yeah, the holographic trust we recommend not to. It's called holographic. We recommend not to do it. We always recommend notarize it. Type it out in person. This we're not comfortable with it. Some clients do it. We always recommend. It's called just recasting the trust. Very simple. Doesn't cost too much. Just retap that particular page. Notarize it, sign it. That's the right way of doing it.
Great question.
So another question I have, I'm reading from Dr. Hasid Thakur, neurologist, that brokerage account or IRA with TOD does not go through probate. Is that right?
Yes. Remember, brokerage account, TOD, it means transfer of debt, and you're going to put some beneficiary there. So there's no probate. Absolutely. You're right. Very smart audience. Yep.
Yeah. Another question is, can you talk about buying gold from IRS?
Yeah, the IRA account, what happened that you can buy alternative investment. So you can buy GLD, is an ETF, or some of our client open up a self-directed brokerage account outside. It's called self-directed IRA account, and they can buy pure gold with this money. I think as a hedge is a good idea to do it. Up to 5% of the allocation should be into gold. We do it for our clients anyway.
Sumul, you want to go for next question?
Yeah, I think we should finish these questions, and then if there's still audience question, we can come back and then wrap it up.
Okay, so Sumul, next question.
Yeah, so I have a lot of concentrated position like Navida on a low cost basis. What do you do to lower the taxes?
Yeah, it's very good question. So it's very common though, Sumal, you'll be surprised a lot. So nowadays, a lot of my clients come with a stock called PLTR. PLTR, everything in PLTR. It used to be NVIDIA, but now everything PLTR. They don't want to sell it because they bought it very low cost and they have to pay capital gain. Well, one option could be, remember, Sumalji, I spoke about you can create a revocable trust. Remember step up in cost basis? Remember, if you die, your children get the upper high of PLTR or NVIDIA cost, tax free. So if your net worth is not too much below 20 million, put it into revocable trust and forget about it. Hopefully, nothing will happen. And it's tax free. One option. Second option is that you can buy something called exchange fund. So if you have a concentrated position in a stock exchange, you can buy exchange fund. It's a separate type of fund. You buy it and you transfer the position. That the problem with exchange fund is that there's a holding period, 5 years, and the funds are not a lot good, but at least you avoid the taxes. You can donate it to Gujarati convention. They appreciate the stock. They will take it. I'm just
We'll
giving
happy,
it.
we'll happy to receive it.
Yeah, and what's the benefit? The benefit is you don't pay cash. Give your concentrated position. The cost basis got transferred away, and everyone is a winner. And lastly, you can do something called tax loss harvesting. Like if you have some stock which are down, like let's say I'm giving you like Tesla is down, but Nvidia is up. Sell Tesla in a loss and sell Nvidia in a profit. That can negate some of it. But this four, maybe you can kind of combine it and help you somewhat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nishat, that was a good suggestion for Sumul to donate to the Gujarati convention.
You are hired as a fundraiser for Gujarati conventions. Hired.
Okay,
So-
next question, Gunjan.
Okay, so we did talk about the backdoor Roth IRA. How about Roth conversion?
Yeah. So one option. So this is for people who are like close to RMD, required minimum distribution, who are 73. So you can do Roth conversion. There's no income restriction there. You pay the taxes, but you should move to like cheaper state or a state where there's no tax, like where Ajeet Bhai is, Florida. So you avoid the state tax, right? So you convert it, but you should do it when the market is down. So you pay less taxes, and you should be close to retirement as well. So you should convert Roth conversion. It becomes a Roth IRA. The benefit is gross tax free, and also there's no RMD. So Roth conversion, I think, makes a lot of sense if you have a lot of pre-tax money. Absolutely.
Interesting.
It's
So I have one more question, and then I think we can go to the audience question. So, what is fiduciary, and what credentials should we look for in a financial advisor?
Yeah, so I don't want to say that I'm a CFP. That's why CFP is very good. I'm not saying that, but all I'm recommending, like one thing I noticed about Sumulji, Gunjanji, Shirish bhai, you're not just an AMD. You have other credential as well, and you are all board certified. And board certification, I think, is very important. A lot of people with a Series 7 license calling themselves financial advisor. I have concern about it. Try to look for financial advisor who's like a CFP, who is a CFA. They are usually high standard of fiduciary. And anyone, so that's why we recommend look for credentials. CFP, you have to have a lot of experience. And if you get a lot of complaint, you cannot hold the CFP license. So I'm not saying CFP means everyone is good, but only 30%, about 30% of financial advisor are CFP, certified financial planner. So they tend to be okay, I would say. Interview them. You can go to a website called FINRA, FINRA, SEC. These are the good website, and put their name and see if they have a lot of complaint. If they have a lot of complaint, that means the more rumor, something might be true. One complaint is okay. Two complaint, oh come on, you have 50 complaints, something is off. So avoid these people by all means, and make sure you ask the question: Are you a fiduciary? Are you selling a product? Like, not in a bad way. I go to Gujarati convention. I see a lot of booth of financial advisor. I myself get scared. So I'm sure that you must be get scared too. So and they're selling something. So if they're selling something, there's something is off. So make sure they are a true fiduciary. All they do is fee only. Look for fee only advisor. They tend to be a little bit into the higher standard of fiduciary level. That would be my recommendation.
Thanks, Nishat. So
I think we
still
have a few more
time.
minutes to continue because this session was so informative. We didn't even realize we almost 1 hour of this session. So last few questions, and then we'll have Ajit Bhai thank the audience.
Okay, Sayedji, I have another question now. So we talked about real estate. There are many of the time there are international market for the real estate, and you do get lucrative deals. Like, that's just for example, say Dubai, or there are some exotic city, and they give you this lucrative deal that you can buy real estate and has so much potential. What do you think about that?
Yeah, as long as you have covered your bases, like you have invested in America first. A lot of my concern is that clients no idea about real estate. They have never invested here. In your local area, first invest, and they go for Dubai. That doesn't make sense. Come on, understand how real estate work, understand how depreciation work. Talk to Shirish Bhai, he will explain to you how real estate works. So one, understand real estate. Once you understand depreciation, once you understand headache, there's a risk with real estate as well. Sometimes tenants are not there. So once you cover here, you have good experience. You have ideally about 30% of your net worth, in my opinion, should be real estate. If you're 10 million, 3 million should be real estate. Once you have those, then you have extra money. Then be like Ambani and go ahead and buy Dubai. No problem. You don't know what to do with it. That's okay. But once the basis is covered.
Yeah, the next question from Akshay, it says, can you tell about QBI and GRAT, GRAT?
Yeah. So QBI, as I mentioned, is qualified business income deduction. I explained, but GRAT is a grantor annuity trust. So a grantor annuity trust, GRAT, you put the money into that. The money is out of your state in a way, and then you can get income from it. So if you're looking for income, you can think about GRAT. So it's called Grantor Annuity Trust, Income Trust. You put the money, and then you can actually get income from it. You can do GRIT, GRIT as well, which is like fixed versus variable. So depending on your situation, it might be applicable for you. But usually people are like income, looking for income. The money is out of your state. That's the kind of people qualify for GRIT or GRAT. Hope it makes sense.
Yes, yeah, it does
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah.
So I think we have covered most of the questions from the audience. If somebody still have a burning questions, and if you want to jot it out quickly in a question and answer session, that'll be great. Otherwise, we can
Yeah, I
wrap
think
up.
I can read a couple of more questions. Looks like one is, what about Roth conversion?
We talked
Oh,
about
we,
We
we
talked
covered
about
that. We covered that.
And what is the depreciation recapture on rental property?
Yeah, remember I spoke about less than 5 years. If you sell it, you have to recapture the depreciation you took in advance. So that's why it's supposed to be for long term.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think we have pretty much covered
pretty much all the questions. Oh yeah, the
all
last one. How can you give to grandchildren?
You can gift it to individual name, like 1818, like I spoke about. I think the amount went up a little bit, or you can create an irrevocable trust for them if you want to gift more. Both are fine.
Okay, so there is another question just came down. Say, comment about opportunity zones.
Yeah. Qualified opportunity zones are fairly popular. It's still a little bit, I think, couple of a year left. We just have to check the calendar. If you put the money into it in a qualified opportunity zone means there's a 20% poverty rate. An area, there's a 20% poverty rate. And not all property qualifies for it. New York, if I go to upstate, up like over 190 Street, I get it. So if I hold in an area, if I invest into it, hold it for 10 years, gain no taxes. Is great if you can invest into real estate opportunity zone. Very, very powerful.
I see. There is one more question came down. What are the cons about Ladybird deed in Florida?
Yeah. So Ladybird deed, what happened is very simple process, simple state planning. Pros and cons are both there. You don't need to have worry about any advanced attorney. The $4,000 cost I talked about, you can just have a Ladybird deed. Very simple, and it takes care of. It's a Florida, it's state specific, not every state have it. But we recommend most physicians have other assets versus just a couple of properties. My experience has been they have other real estate, other assets. So just a simple, Ladybird deed may not be just a good idea, but it may be for that person who's asking if the net worth is simple, it may work. So I think your situation is different. Everyone's situation different. Speak to your financial advisor if it makes sense or not.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much, Syed. At this time, if there's no further questions, I would request our Gujarati Convention Chairman, Dr. Ajeet Bhai, to say the word of thanks.
Syed Bhai, Nishat Bhai, thank you very much. It was a very informative session. I learned a lot today. So, as my fellow friends, they might have learned a lot, and I hope they can do the follow up with you. And we hope to have continuation of further more sessions like this, where we can repeat the similar information or more new information. And I would like to take this opportunity to also thank Dr. Sumul, Raval, Dr. Gunjan Shukla, and Dr. Shirish Patel taking out time and becoming a panelist to help us. And thank you especially to Syed Bhai for doing this excellent job. And we will be continuing working with you in the future.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
everyone. Really appreciate you doing it Wednesday night, and thank you for the thankless job you do for whatever you're doing this pro bono work. We really appreciate it, and I'm sure all the audience appreciate as well. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for our audience to join and give us the suggestions in the future. If you have further topic to discuss, we can always bring it in the future, webinars. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you all. And as said earlier, this is a recorded webinar. So if you need to access, please contact us or Nishat, and we would be glad to share that. Again, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a
And
good
Mahashivratri to all Gujarati friends.
Likewise.